I want to begin this prayer with a moment of silence for all the lives lost too soon because of racism in the last year. I'm going to name a few, but know that there are many more names that could be added to this list. For Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Jacob Blake, Justin Howell, Rayshard Brooks, the disproportionate number of Black, Indigenous, and people of color who have died from COVID, and all others whose names are not listed here, but etched on our hearts and our conscience, we offer a moment of silence. God of love and justice, our Creator, who walks with us, who feels the pain of your children, who cries with us in anger and sadness, when your children, beautifully created in your image, are hurt by racism and oppression. You shout along with us in the fight for justice that enough is enough. When no more can be tolerated and the strain has broken down those who carry the burden day in and day out. It is in you we find our hope to keep doing the hard work, to keep pressing forward, even when the world seems to be moving in the other direction. And you rejoice with every victory for justice. Teach us to walk in your light, to lift one another up, and to see others as your beloved children, and create a world where wholeness reigns and your love brings peace. We give thanks for Dr. King and all those who have led in the fight for civil rights. Help us to heed Dr. King's words as he truly lifted up not only his dream, but our dream and your dream for the world. Bear with us as we work through the pain of anti-racism and healing. And though the work of true equity is uncomfortable and difficult, give us the stamina to keep going. Open the eyes of those who are blind to racism and hatred. Help us to see the reality and the struggle many face every day. And do not let us be settled until your kingdom is realized here on earth. And bring your comfort and justice for the families who are grieving their loved ones who were taken away because of the color of their skin, because they fit a description, because of the pervasive systemic sin of racism. We ask for your continued courage and guidance and wisdom as we co-create a better world with you. Amen.
When it comes to Dr. King, we can talk for days of how special of a man he was, how smart he was, how great of a role model he was, the impact that he left on our country, not just for Black people, but for the entire country. When I look at his legacy and the things he did, the things that I pick apart from it is that the words he once spoke and the knowledge that he gave out is lasting generations after him and his death. My favorite quote by him, he says, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." What's going on in our world right now with the Capitol, police brutality, inequality, and injustice, those things matter, and we need to speak on them. But just because we speak on them doesn't mean we're speaking the right information that needs to be heard. Any hate, any negativity does not need to be spoken or said. The time that we're living in 2021, these things will be in our history books. Our kids will read about them. Our grandkids will read about them. So we have the chance to write history the way we want it and the way it needs to be wrote. We have a chance. Again, through history, everybody has a chance to be on the right side. And as we look back, some people were on the right side and some people wasn't. But we're living in the present right now. We have that chance. So let's make the right choice. Let's speak the right words. Let's do the right things. Let's spread love like he did. Let's spread positivity like he did. Let's actually stand up and march like he did. Let's not let his death and what he did for us, all of us, be wasted. Let's look back at the great things that not just he did, but the whole civil rights movement did. Let's look at how they got up and held each other accountable. When one fell down, they all picked them up. When one was weary and didn't think about doing it anymore, they kept marching forward because it was not about them. It was about the future generation. And that's another thing I love about him. When all that he did, people look and think that it was just for that time. But I think he knew that his impact will last generations after him. He left the world a better place than he found it. And I think that's what we all should do right now. And this time that we're in, let's leave it better than we found it, not just for us, but for our kids and the generations to come after them. Once again, we have the chance to rewrite history. Let's throw the egos away. Let's throw the biases away. Because at the end of the day, we're all made in the image of God. He said, love your neighbor, love your brother, love your sister, but even more better, love your enemy, like Martin Luther King did.
Today we observe Martin Luther King Jr. Day with a strange sense as we prepare for what we hope will be a peaceful transition of power in our nation's capital. We've seen violence unfold at the very heart of American democracy. And we might feel a temptation to wonder, are we on the right path? Some commenters have gone so far as to claim that democracy as we know it, for all of its embedded contradictions and inequalities, has outlived its purpose. There may even be the desire among some of us to enact the sort of vision of the French political philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau, who argued ironically that if people refuse to be free, they must be compelled to be so. It is interesting that Martin Luther King Jr., who had as much to complain about the flaws and inequalities in our democracy as any of us, called not for moving beyond American values, but instead a vigorous restoration of them. We often forget that King's education and his inclination were theological, and indeed were deeply rooted in a Christian anthropology, which believed that human beings were not only spiritual beings created in God's image, but also separated from God by our sinfulness. King was heavily influenced by the theologian Reinhold Niebuhr, who is quoted by his diverse thinkers in our contemporary world as Barack Obama and John McCain to be their major influences. King believed that the American style of democracy was necessary to promote justice. As Niebuhr himself claimed, man's justice makes democracy possible, but our ability for injustice makes democracy necessary. In the 1958 speech to a convention of educators held by the United Church of Christ, King compared America to the biblical parable of the prodigal son. The son strays away from the father's house and goes to the far country of iniquity and evil. And he only finds salvation when he returns home. In that speech, King spoke, "It seems that I hear a voice saying to America, 'You started on the right path. You wrote in your Declaration of Independence that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Among these, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But America, you strayed away from that sublime principle. You left your house of your great heritage and stepped away into the far country of segregation and discrimination. You have trampled over 16 million of your brothers. You have deprived them of the basic goods of life, and you have taken from them their self-respect and their sense of dignity. You have treated them as if they were things rather than persons. Because of this, a famine has broken out in your land, and in the midst of all of your material wealth, you are spiritually and morally poverty-stricken, unable to speak to the conscience of this world. America, in this famine situation, if you come back to yourself and rise up and decide to come back home, I will take you in, for you are made for something high and for something noble and for something good." King concludes with a prayer, reminding us that we have a choice of a high road or the low road. And he prayed that God would help us on our path to choose the high road and to remember that we are, quote, "made for that which is high and noble and good." This is what we mean in our mission here at Culver-Stockton, to educate with the best values of faith and the human spirit. It is to join with Dr. King our desire to walk the high road, and we should pray for the grace and courage to indeed walk this path. Thank you, and God bless you all.